So good morning, Bucharest, how are you? Ready to rock? So, being a representative of an innovation cluster focusing on smart and sustainable cities, we like to see the challenge of becoming climate neutral as an innovation journey, if you like. I think we need to see this as a joint effort, getting all the stakeholders involved and look for new radical solutions to the challenges we face in our cities. And we should also include the citizens. There's a lot of power of innovation in our citizens, so let's make sure that they are on board. And when we try to initiate projects on ground level in the cities, let's make sure that we tap into the potential of our citizens. It's, after all, the quality of life of us who are living in the cities that is the focus of what we do. And we know that the cities are key to solving these challenges. We know that these are wicked problems, these are complex societal challenges, and we need to rethink the way we are doing things currently. And what I hope to do, and what we hope to discuss in the panel today, is how we can, in a way, change from looking at these problems as something that's really hard to overcome to a potential for innovation. How can this create a spirit of entrepreneurship in the cities and getting all the stakeholders to participate in that journey? Did you notice the graphics in the room, by the way? I was quite fascinated when I entered the room. I didn't expect this, so this was a kind of a revelation also to see that, okay, so this is actually a way of seeing, it's kind of a symbol of what we're doing today. You see that things are upside down. So I think that should be kind of an invitation to us and also to the panel to discuss how can we turn things upside down in order to find new ways of becoming climate neutral and making people's lives happier and better. And of course, that leads me to the panel. We have some forward-leaning cities joining us in the panel from Romania, from Iceland, and from Norway. You'll get to know them a little bit better in a few minutes. But I think they are bold representatives of cities who dare to be forward-leaning. We talk about being in the driver's seat here, and we will hear from the cities some examples on how they are tackling the climate challenges. So, without further ado, let's make this turn this into a conversation. I'd like to do it quite informally. So let's get this conversation going. But first of all, let us start by getting to know the panel a little bit better. And we'll do that by asking each representative to present themselves and also to answer one question to start with. So we get the topics, focus on the topics right from the start. So I think let's start with Cluj. And I have a question. If you were to describe how your city is working to achieve climate neutrality in just one sentence, what would you highlight?
I think in Cluj it was very important ecosystems, and because we work together with citizens, I have to explain why I'm in this panel, because I worked 16 years for the municipality of Cluj-Napoca, and Mr. Mayor Bock said that I can represent proudly Cluj, even if I'm state secretary now in the government. I work for the application for the EU mission for Cluj-Napoca, and we were very happy that we were selected. And I think that the strong point of Cluj is that we started many years ago to work with the ecosystem, with the universities. We have very important universities with citizens. 7-8 years ago, we launched the Center for Innovation and Civic Imagination. And I remember a public debate where we came with a very good project with trees on the street, dedicated bus lines, and as a coordinator I was very happy, and I said that the citizens will be amazed about how green will be the project. And at the debate all the citizens said that it's not enough. We need greener, more trees, more green spaces. So I think that this type of discussion, being open, can push you in a more ambitious path towards climate neutrality. And it happens in some cities that you have the citizens that are pushing towards climate neutrality. In other cities, the public administration, and maybe they have some political costs because they are cutting parking places or room for cars in order to make more room for people. But in Cluj, I think this idea of partnership was one of the main reasons of being so ambitious.
Thank you. Shall we move on to Reykjavik? I think you must have the longest journey coming to Bucharest. So what I would like to hear what you do in your work, but also if you can answer the question, what would you identify as the main 3 attributes of Reykjavik that are key ingredients in the transition towards climate neutrality?
Yes, thank you. It was a lot of traveling. As you maybe know, we're an island up north with a rather small population. But congratulations on this mirror project. I think it's very valuable because in Iceland, when you're living far away, you have to also learn from other countries. And we have been learning from Denmark and Norway and so on. So I think this mirror project is very valuable for you to work together more closely. But for Reykjavik, and maybe the most that we are dealing with now is actually we have like geothermal and hydro, so our electricity and heating is, how can you say it, almost carbon neutral. But our challenge is mobility. It is always mobility actually within the city. Our main greenhouse gas emissions are from transport, from the private car. So we have been working with changing planning mode from a car-dense city towards more infrastructure for walking and bicycling and so on. So how can you say, that has been our most work until now. But there's also been energy shift in the car fleet and so on, and that of course is a technical issue. But what also has been on the rise are electrical bikes that have been more on the rise and becoming more and more popular, and making it easy for people to move around with a more climate-friendly way, actually. But then, of course, you can plan a city and build a city and the infrastructure and so on. But at the end of the day, you always like people to, how can you say, to prefer another way of traveling. And also for the businesses to take part in planning the city in a different way. And how can you say it, and enhance their employees to arrive to work in a more climate-friendly way and so on. So yes, that is what we are most working with at the moment. Thank you.
Is it on board?
I believe so. It's slowly changing, but that is always a challenge. It is slightly moving from the car dependency.
Thank you. And let's move on to Trondheim. Øyvind, I know that you've been working with citizen involvement for a long time, and I think, you know, working on the transition to a greener economy. How do you work, you know, from the municipality side or the city side to engage all the stakeholders needed in terms of improving the current situation?
Well, I think the first step is to realize that we actually have to. In order to become climate neutral, we need to engage the people that are part of the solution. And the way we approach this, because it's a quite complex domain or topic, first to realize that it is complex, and then to try to approach the different ecosystems to figure out what they care about and what they do. Because there's already a lot of people in our city that are trying to do the exact thing we want them to do. They're trying to solve part of our climate action portfolio. So we need to figure out as a city how we can help them and support them. And that will differ varying on whether you're into like the energy domain, which is highly regulated and quite technical, or whether you're approaching circular economy, which is like an economy that hasn't yet developed fully. So the way we do this is, I highlight two main aspects. One is the way we design the portfolio in such a way that it can be understood both at the local level in the cities and also at the national level. Because we need to understand how to work with concrete actions across governance levels and across, let's say, topic domains. And the other thing is then, of course, how do you govern a mission in a city? This is something completely different than doing a internal organizational system for a political run organization. So we need to develop these governance systems that has citizen engagement as its core, and that kind of drives forward the initiatives that we said we would do in the action plan and investment plan we delivered to net zero cities.
Just out of curiosity, you talk about the kind of supportive role you can have so that the citizens who have their own ambitions or plans or desires, you can actually as a city help them do that. Can you elaborate a little bit on how you actually work with that when it comes to the citizen engagement?
Yeah, the good thing is that the people that are trying to do stuff, they usually come to us. So like a couple of months ago, we have this grandparents climate initiative that came to us, and we want to do this, we want to help you. How can you support us? Can you give us a place on the stage? And of course, we didn't know that was an issue, but yes, please, welcome. So I think that's a lot of listen to what people want to do instead of kind of forcing initiatives on top of them. I think that's crucial.
A lesson learned, I guess you can share that with other cities and recommend the kind of approach where you talk about smart with a heart in the everyday running of cities. Smart with a heart was actually my suggestion. I just have to say that. And the core of the thinking there is that you can talk about infrastructure or electricity and all the kinds of basic things you need to get in place in the city. But if you're really going to have the powerful results, it's also down to what happens in people's hearts, the emotions of the people living there. They need to be on board with this journey that we're talking about, and we'll elaborate a little bit on that later. But it's not just an easy task to get things moving. And I was wondering if we move to Bucharest now, in your city, tell me a little about your work first, but also let us know a bit about the key obstacles that you see that Bucharest is facing on its journey to climate neutrality.
Hello, thank you for this debate. It's very interesting. Well, I think there are two types of obstacles that come to a city like Bucharest towards climate neutrality. So the first type of obstacles are the hard ones, like traffic, like lack of green spaces, housing conditions, and so on. And we know that we are in a seismic area, and whenever you want to improve housing, you also have to consolidate buildings, which is very, very expensive. So you can go towards climate neutrality, but you have also to tackle the problem of seismic area. But these are the hard problems. We have some tool problems because we are the second district of Bucharest, we are not the whole Bucharest. And if the wind blows from the east, in the east, it's not Bucharest anymore, it's just the surrounding, it's Ilfov County. If the wind comes from the west, it's still Bucharest, but in a different district. So one of the main tool problems is that we have to collaborate with with other districts, with whole Bucharest and Ilfov County. Another obstacle, let's say, which is a tool obstacle, is, well, it's somehow funny. Actually, I'm not a mayor anymore. So it's the political stability. So you need to have a plan. We applied for this plan. We have this funding. We have these structures and the financing. But actually, due to political instruments, the next mayor has to go on with this plan. So this is one of the obstacles towards climate neutrality. If the mayor changes, the next one has to go on with the vision. And I think he will, I hope he will, because things are important. And the last type of obstacle I want to talk about is mentality. So we have very high resistance from people who will trade immediate comfort for, I don't know, long-term sustainability. We have the traffic problem, and many persons would like to keep 2 or 3 cars per family, and they don't really care so much about or they do care, but they want to tackle it somehow else, about the air problem, about the pollution caused by cars, about, it's not just air pollution, it's space pollution. Cars in cities are also polluting space, not only air. And it's difficult at some point to tell the people, you will have at some point some better public transport, just give up your cars, have just 1 car per family. Some do that, and some are champions of public transport and wealthier environment, but some don't. So this resistance from the citizens is also one of the important obstacles in transition towards climate neutrality.
And let's move on to Stavanger. I would like to ask you, Eline, in your efforts to achieve climate neutrality, do you have any specific approaches or methodologies that you're working with in your city?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have, but first of all, I as well want to say thank you for inviting us here. I'm deeply impressed over this whole arrangement, and I'm very, very inspired by how you have put this all together. I will bring this back to Norway for sure. And for the methodologies, we have the collaboration is first and foremost the biggest methodology that we have on all levels. But for strategies and methodologies, I wanted to highlight 2 things. We have the climate budgeting that are crucial for us to reduce our emissions, and we have the multi-level government. And if I may elaborate on those 2, the climate budgeting is a tool that we have in the municipality. You know, we all have in the municipalities, we have the climate action plans and also the mobility plans that are listing up all the activities and all the numbers, and they are massive, and you can get lost in all of them, and when we are presenting them, you don't really see the total. So in the climate budget, we are presenting the climate budget annually, and we are presenting it together with the financial budget to the politicians. And in the climate budget, you can see more clearly, more visualized where we are at. We are presenting the emissions, the total of the emissions that we have within our boundaries. We are presenting the measures, the mitigation measures that we have, what the ongoing measures, but also the planned measures and how we are at, where we are at, where we are heading, and where you can really see the significant gap that we actually have towards our target, which is the 80% within 2030, and also within the mission to be climate neutral, which means that we need to also account for the residual 20% as well. So that's the climate budget, and also what I want to underline as well, presenting it together with the financial budget means that we allow for the politicians to be responsible. They see it together with the financial budget, which also means that they can allocate money to climate funding at the same time, so that, and which they do. So they give the climate and environmental department money to give measures to our citizens. For instance, financial schemes like funding schemes like heat pumps or electrical bikes to the citizens to help them, nudging them in the direction that we want them to go into. So that's one, and the second bigger one that we need is the city growth agreement, the multi-level governance. It's a mobility agreement first and foremost. It's a portfolio that we have in Norway. It's not just in Stavanger, where the Norwegian government and also the region and the local level, but also a lot of actors have a portfolio. It's a vision of zero growth in passenger traffic. It's a cross-sectoral agreement where we cluster together a lot of actions. It's profitable actions, non-profitable actions. It's massive bus lanes, bicycle lanes, road taxation, it's mobility hubs, nudging like campaigns towards citizens. Many things clustered together, and it is working really well, and we are heading and we will reach, we anticipate that we will halve the reductions in emissions in passenger traffic within 2030. So those are the two that I wanted to highlight.
Thank you, that's interesting to know, and we can come back to the issue of mobility a little later. But I was, before we came to Bucharest yesterday, the small Norwegian delegation spent the weekend in Suceava, which was the first time for all of us, and it was really a nice way of getting to know a smaller city also, because of course it's always the bigger city who steals the spotlight in these discussions very often. But I also would like to see and hear that the smaller cities are joining the innovation journey, and that's why I'm happy to have Suceava also in the panel. And I would like to ask you, how do you think smaller cities and municipalities can draw inspiration from the strategies implemented from larger mission cities?
Hello everyone. First I will introduce myself. My name is Irina Nicolescu and I represent Suceava municipality. Together with my colleagues in the last years, we have put all our efforts together in making strategies, if we speak now about strategies. And one of the most important is this, being on the road towards climate neutrality. So a smaller city among big cities, big European cities in the mission cities. Wow, who is Suceava? Maybe a lot of you were asking, who is this city? We are a small city, indeed, in the northeast of Romania, with a actually small team, maybe now will be bigger and bigger, which are eagerly and we deeply want to be climate neutral by 2030. And we hope, together with the mission cities and the mirror mission cities, to acquire this thing. As for the strategies, so As we all know, even though a city can be small or big, I think the challenges are the same, mostly the same. Traffic congestion, mobility, alternative energy, how to transfer from classic fuels to alternative energy, and sustainable development. So I think this is a teamwork. We are all working for a better world, a climate neutral world. So smaller municipalities have the chance to learn from larger municipalities because they have different resources, and we can, from their strategies, we can adapt, we can get inspiration, and we can adapt and transfer to our local context, to say like this. So with all the do's and don'ts and all the lessons learned, I think that some steps are skipped, so the road is much more easier. This is in a...
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And moving from city level, I would like to ask you, Mr. Borbeli, as a state councillor for the Department of Sustainable Development, how do you see the cities becoming more involved in the sustainable development, and how can the national government support the cities?
First of all, I would like to thank you very much for your invitation, Mr. Minister Courage, his team, for this wonderful adventure of the cities, competition, and for me was also wonderful adventure when we started in 2017 this Department of Sustainable Development near the Prime Minister's office, because you need leadership, you need the political willingness of the government, also the cities. And we started with two important challenges: how to create an interinstitutional framework, which is partner of cities, partner of the society, partner of different institutions, how to put together at the same table different ministries, different institutions, and secondly, how to organize ourselves to be involved in the stakeholders and different parts of the society to have a more sustainable life, yes? And you mentioned about that I am special. I'm not special. All of these conference rooms are special. All the human beings are special, yes? We have to find for ourselves what we have to do more and to have a positive energy to our capacities to do more. And that's why, in this moment, I have to tell you that's why I arrived a little bit late, because I was at the Parliament, because we have a law regarding sustainable hubs in different ministries, and we institutionalize them. Because without knowledge, without professional skills in different ministries, we cannot revise our strategy on sustainable. So now we have this institutionalized people from different institutions. In this moment, I suppose that we are the only country in European Union that's understood that we have a new job in Romania, expert in sustainable development. And we will train them. 2,000 of experts will be trained until the end of 2025 from Recovery and Resilience Plan. And from 2,000, 1,600 will be from local level. Because we need more professional skills, there will be all public functionaries, so from administration. Because we need more knowledge, more hubs to have it in local level. We have to have a partnership with them. Secondly, we will have, which is also unique as I understood at this level, and I hope that will be functional, a center of excellence for sustainable development, also for public administration, to help them for more analysis, for more studies. And we will have, because it's, you know, we are here in this space, wonderful space, a platform, a one-stop shop, will be the institutional memory of the sustainable development, and will be a connection between central level, to have a policy coherence on central level, and to have, of course, based on the autonomy of local level, to be partners. And at the end, I would like to say that it's unbelievable that I served for 7 prime ministers, yes, since 2017. We have an okay regarding policy, but sometimes we change governments, and of course we will have also elections. And all the prime ministers, all my colleagues from different ministries was partners. Because if you can explain that it's better to have this kind of change of mentality, this kind of attitude of you, everybody is on board. So we have the coordination, because mentioned my colleagues regarding the buildings. We coordinate in this moment an interministerial committee on energy efficiency of the buildings. It's very important to put together all the ministers, all the municipalities regarding this, which is a very complicated issue. And we have the coordination of circular economy. We have a strategy, we have an action plan until 2032, and we have to do it. We have to do it. Without ministries, without institutions, without municipalities, we cannot do it. And third, it's very important, the alternative fuels. We now intend, by hydrogen and other, to have an infrastructure. It's very difficult. You have to go to different parts of owners and to discuss with them. So we are like a catalyst. I hope that I convinced you that it's not enough to put, you see my sustainable tie, yes, okay, and the pin, you have to do more. So I hope that we are partners, I hope that we are near you, and I am very lucky that I am in this very important panel and to share with you some thoughts of mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I guess knowledge is power. Collaboration is key. That these are some of the key words, I think, in our work towards a greener future. Laura, I want to ask you, as a representative for the European Commission and the Climate City Mission Initiative, listening to the different panelists and their views on these questions, how do you observe this from your standpoint?
I have to say that coming from the big picture of European policy, it's always refreshing to listen to cities, because you directly go to the heart of what matters on the ground. And thank you for that. It's always inspiring to be part of a conversation where cities are present. For the cities mission, we have selected 100 cities for climate neutrality by 2030. And some of you may remember that we received 377 applications, which testified to the fact that we all knew deep down that business as usual wasn't giving results. We needed to do something new. We had to stop accepting the things that we cannot change and instead change the things that we cannot accept. And I was thinking this morning as I was walking towards the venue that we had received 13 applications from Romanian cities, and we were only able to accept 3 cities into the program because we wanted to cover all EU member states. So in a beautiful form, I think, of cosmic justice, we are now back having the 3 cities in the EU mission, having the 10 cities under the M100. We are back to that very lucky 13 number. I also want to take the opportunity to thank the Romanian colleagues. I paid a visit to them many moons ago when the mission was just a few lines in the Horizon Europe framework regulation. And we sat down, indeed, to devise a plan which seemed, I think somebody used the word crazy, and honestly, at that time, it seemed crazy. It doesn't seem so crazy right now, does it? I think it's amazing what we accomplished in this short span of time, and I want to thank wholeheartedly the cities. People may know that you are working on designing and implementing climate city contracts, but I don't think they realize how grueling the climate city contract is, both as a document and a process to set in place. When we refer to the 3 labeled Romanian cities, they received that label following a 3-part plan. The first part covers political and stakeholder commitments, which are reviewed by the European Commission. The second part is a cross-sectoral action plan that is revised by the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, ensuring scientific accuracy, that the emission inventories and the proposed solutions are the right ones. And the third part, which is a complete novelty that doesn't exist in any other climate action plan, is the accompanying investment strategy, which is reviewed by external financial experts and by experts from the European Investment Bank. So congratulations on this achievement, and we look forward to assisting you as you work to implement these climate city contracts. And my second message would be, you are not alone. Just looking around the room, the 15 minutes that we got to spend together before the event, I have seen so many colleagues from what has become now the mission family. The representatives of national platforms are here. I spotted colleagues from Sweden, from Spain, from Hungary, representatives of the Net Zero Cities Mission platform, speaking of one-stop shops, are also here. They have been with you for the last few years and are bound to continue in the 2030 horizon. We also have colleagues from Norway, from Switzerland. I also met a Canadian colleague. You are not alone in this, and I think the support that you will be getting from the national level is something that you should not take for granted. There are many countries in which we do not see that kind of support materializing, which is why I echo the words of Mission Manager Patrick Child when he said this will serve as an example throughout Europe, and it will in fact raise the bar on what national governments can and should do for cities. And last but not least, I am looking forward to having maybe a follow-up event in a few years when we achieve the first documented climate neutral city in Romania, and then the second, and then the third, and then so on. And I think at that point, we will all be able to trace that development back to this moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I could go on for hours, but we have to limit ourselves, I guess. But being guests here in Romania, and knowing, Øyvind, I know you've been working with smart and sustainable cities for quite a long time now. And now we are about to meet the cities in Romania who will embark on their journey. Would you care to share just a short advice on how they should go about approaching this huge challenge?
Yeah, well, to start with, there's a lot of beautiful things technology can do, like this room. But don't start with making technology the problem you're trying to solve. I think that's one of the things that we did that we wish we didn't. And I also think when you're developing a smart and sustainable city, there's no way you can do this without engaging in partnerships and common projects. Like, it's an absolute necessity. So I think that's the most two important ones. And I expect you to do better and move faster than we did. So looking forward to see what you can develop.
So you've done so many mistakes. There are plenty to learn from that, I guess. But we have done some nice achievements also. And I think maybe one of the traits in the Nordic countries is that we see technology more as a tool than a mean in itself. And again, just to repeat myself, I think the creative, the innovative power of the people living in our cities should be the main ingredients in trying to achieve these daunting climate goals. So thank you to the panelists. It's been a joy to be here. I'm looking forward to the rest of the conference. Thank you so much.